Perhaps this will please the gentleman.
Hello, welcome to Norway. I'm here. It's a beautiful, nice sunny day today, and behind me is my Cefiro on jack stands again. So I thought I might make a video and just give you a bit of a history lesson on this car that has given me so much grief and some tiny bits of enjoyment. So yeah, enjoy. So yeah, basically I'll introduce myself first. My name is Rudy. I'm from Australia, but I live here in Norway. Lived here for a few years now, moved here because my wife is actually Norwegian, so yeah, we lived in Australia for a while and thought we'd try Norway out. Yeah, basically, let's talk about the car. When I first moved to Norway, I knew that I wanted to kind of buy a car, just something to kind of keep me entertained and amused and busy during those cold, long winter months that are here. Also something that will kind of get me in with the car crowd here, I guess, and take it to all the shows and meets and stuff. So yeah, I was searching for cars for a while. I was looking at mainly S13s, S14s and stuff, and then one day this car popped up for sale on basically Norway's version of Gumtree, I guess, for you Australians. I saw it, was just like instantly in love with it. Called up the owner like right then and then as I saw it and just said, man, it's mine, I'll take it, I'll be up there that weekend. I sent him a deposit that night, and yeah, that Saturday I was flying out from Oslo to Bergen to go and pick up the car. If you're familiar with Norway, basically Bergen, where the car was, is on Norway's kind of west coast. So we flew up there from Oslo. I met the seller at the airport and first got to lay eyes on my Nissan Cefiro. The only Nissan Cefiro in all of Norway, actually. Well, there is maybe a couple other ones, but they're all turned into drift cars. This is the only one that has plates. I was just instantly in love with it. Like, I've always loved Cefiros. I've always been a big fan of sedans, Japanese four-door sedans, so the R32s, R33s, Chasers, but the Cefiro and Laurels have always been my favorites. So to see this car actually in Norway with plates was just like unheard of. These sort of cars here are so rare to be registered and stuff, so I was pretty lucky to be able to score this car. Overall, it was in pretty good condition. There were some small rust spots and stuff. Generally these cars are really rare to find in good condition, as most have been turned into drift cars or have been, wrapped around poles or something. But this one was all pretty much stock. I mean, it was an automatic, so maybe that's why, and it was non-turbo. The good thing was, though, it was an actual, the 2.5 SE edition, which is really rare, actually. So this one actually came with an RB25, but just a non-turbo one. So that was kind of special as well. Leather interior, some other cool little gadgets and everything, like all Japanese cars have. And yeah, as I said, I was in love with it.
Take this object, but beware, it carries a terrible curse.
Ooh, that's bad.
As the thumbnail in this video suggests, it is the Cursed Cefiro, so the curse pretty much started from day one. We decided to drive the car back from Bergen to Oslo. It's a pretty decent drive, and that was in May, I believe, so there's still quite a lot of snow around. It was still very cold. And of course it broke down on the way back. So there's some really big hills you have to kind of cross to get back from the west coast to Oslo, and climbing up one of the hills, the engine just overheated. It went to just red hot within seconds. So we were broken down at the top of a hill in the middle of nowhere. It was snowing. I was with my fiance at the time. I tried to keep pretty calm and cool, but inside I was kind of scared because I didn't know what we were going to do. But thankfully we got out of that one. We actually broke down near a waterfall, and we were able to fill up water bottles we had in the car from the waterfall and put that back into the radiator. But yeah, we got out of that one. Luckily, after that, the car drove all the way back to Oslo, not a problem. I was pretty scared though, one eye on the temperature gauge the whole way. That turned out to be a radiator that was just clogged, full of crap, basically. After I got to kind of, go a bit more in depth with the car, I got to realize that it hadn't really been that well looked after. It hadn't been maintained. Like the air filter was just completely black. I don't know when the oil was last changed. The tires were almost like 20 years old or something on it. So I think it was imported into Norway in 1997. I don't think much had been done to it since then. I think it may have just been sat in a shed its whole life, basically. I'm unsure of the history of the car. What I believe is it possibly was owned by a Norwegian that worked in Japan, bought it, and then they decided to bring it home with them as they moved back. I have all the shipping documents and everything for it, so I believe that's why it was here. I've read a lot of things on the internet. People think that I brought this over from Australia, and that's not true. I bought it here in Norway, so yeah. After that, then I just started, modifying it. I was always going to modify it. It was never going to remain stock, so yeah. First thing I did was put some XYZ coilovers on there. Just got it, nice, sitting low, looked kind of cool. After that, the next thing we did was swap out to a manual transmission. So I couldn't drive it for too much longer, being an automatic. It's kind of boring. So yeah, when I bought the car, the seller actually gave me an RB25 R33 Skyline gearbox with it, so that was cool. So we put that in. I got a custom tail shaft made for it, and then just used all R32 GTR clutch and brake parts and everything, and that was a pretty easy swap, not too complicated. Then that was cool. It was fun to drive then. It was on coilovers, it was a manual, it had the RB25 non-turbo, but it was still, fun. After that I swapped out the hubs and brakes to 5-stud and R33 GTST calipers and rotors. Using EBC rotors actually. So that was cool. Then I kind of put some nice wheels on there, put some work wheels on, and the car looked awesome then. I actually used it for my wedding, so I got some really cool photos of that. So yeah, the car looked good, it went well. Weren't too many problems with it. After that, some small little things like an alternator belt went one time when I was driving to Sweden, so I got stuck there. That was kind of pretty gnarly actually. Luckily some friends were able to help me. And then the winter of 2016-2017, that's when I kind of decided to go all out on the car. So I thought it was about time to put the turbo engine in. RB25 DET Series 1 turbo motor in there. That was all pretty easy. The reason that was easy is I actually had wiring specialties in America make up a custom harness for this car with the RB25 turbo engine, so that saved a lot of time. Pretty much just plug and play. Yeah. Also put on a Urus body kit that I found, an actual genuine Urus body kit, which are extremely rare. Had that painted up and put on there. And yeah, so then the spring of 2017, the car looked really good. Looked good, it went well, had the turbo engine. I put it on the dyno, it just made a little over 300 horsepower at the wheels, so yeah. It was a cool car, and then that's when kind of everything started to go downhill a little bit. First thing that happened was driving to Gartabil, which is, you've probably seen on the internet. It's the big, huge car shows that they have here. I got stopped by Norway's version of the transport department, basically. And they didn't like the car very much, not as much as what I did. So I guess you could say I was kind of a naughty boy with the car. I did all the modifications, but I didn't put anything in the paperwork. if you've seen some videos or pictures, you'll know that Norway kind of goes off German rules, and they are extremely strict with modifying cars. Every little thing has to be put in the papers, everything has to be certified with the TUV regulations and stuff, and obviously I did none of that for this car. They stopped me, and they didn't like a lot of things about it, so I had to basically get everything put into the papers and show it at an inspection. Went to the first inspection, and yeah, I got pretty hammered. I guess they had been swapped with brakes, manual transmission, the engine, exhaust, coilovers, everything. So I had to kind of get everything certified and show all the paperwork for everything as well. At least he gave me hope that it was possible, but it was going to be hard. It took almost 5 months. There was like 20 or 30 pages of documents I gave them. I had to get everything, show them the dyno papers, the weight of the car, all the part numbers to match the brakes with the engine from an R33 Skyline and everything. But in the end, I got it all certified, so that was a huge success. It meant that I could keep the car and keep the plates on the car. A lot of people told me it would be impossible, and I kind of proved them wrong. I think that was just down to determination of myself, and maybe stubbornness as well, that I didn't want to give up the car. So yeah, that was awesome. But in between, when that happened, I actually destroyed an engine at a track day here in Norway. So that made things even more complicated, as it meant we had to change the engine halfway through doing the inspections and everything. It was a lot of stress. I never want to go through that again. Basically, yeah, I took the car to Rudskogen Raceway, which is the big one here, a huge racetrack, and the car just suffered from road knock. That was really kind of, heartbreaking for me. It made everything a lot harder, as I said. But yeah, luckily I had a friend who was able to loan me another engine, so we were able to use that for the final inspection of the car to get it all certified and everything, so that was cool. After all of that, I kind of decided, I could have gone two ways with the car. I could have just sold it as it was all certified and running, and probably could get a lot of money for it, or I could have just gone, okay, let's kind of start from scratch and do things properly all over again, and I chose that route. Not too sure if I regret that now or not. But yeah, so winter of pretty much then it was off the road for almost a year and a half, maybe longer. We pulled the engine out that my friend loaned me, and I decided to build a whole brand new engine for the car, an RB25 DT Neo motor from an R34 Skyline. Yeah, so I bought an actual engine from Germany. Seller promised me it was a good engine. It wasn't. The head had seen some serious damage to it. The head was basically throwaway, put in the bin. It looked like piston 1 had touch valves and stuff as well, so I had to get that engine pretty much rebuilt and buy a whole new RB25 Neo head as well. So that was the first of the dramas. But I kind of did everything properly. I had all of the brackets and parts sandblasted and powder coated. I had the engine bay all resprayed as well, as it was kind of an ugly color from the factory. Did quite a few other things, just upgraded everything on there. G-Ready inlet manifold, HKS 2835 turbo on there, Bosch 1000cc injectors, new fuel rail. The engine was built with King race bearings as well. Did all the oil things as well, had a brand new N1 oil pump rebuilt with billet gears. It has the head oil drain, restrictors to the head as well, the crank collar extension, everything to make sure that it was going to be a good engine and nothing was going to go wrong. Put that in, had that dynoed. It made just over 350 horsepower or something at the wheels, and it was going quite well. A few problems with it, though. It was using a lot of fuel. I was a little bit suspect on the tune that was done with the car. There's a few problems that I saw with it, so I always want to get it tuned properly, so I left that later. So I drove it around the spring of this year, like that. I also bought some new wheels for it, which I absolutely love, like my dream wheels basically. Nismo LM GT2 wheels that I found actually in Russia, believe it or not, that have been imported from Japan like a week previous, that I saw a guy was selling. They needed to be refurbished and everything, so I had a friend here refurbish them and resprayed, and they came up just looking so mint. Super happy with them. So yeah, had them on there. Car was going this year. I took it to a couple of meets and just wait here. First meet I took it to was the TPG Stance meet, where it won Best Classic Car, so absolutely right with that. I think I started like crying as I won this award. All the hard work and everything that went into the car, it was amazing. Next one I took it to was the Garterville one at Vollebanen, and it won one of the best top 5 Japanese cars. So yeah, 2 trophies at 2 different meets, so I was absolutely wrapped with that. The car got a lot of interest as well. Like, it just kind of shows when you put a lot of time and determination and effort into just those small details, this is what comes out of it. And then after that, the curse struck again. I took the car over to a really good tuner over in Sweden that I know was very familiar with Haltech, as the car is using a Haltech ECU. And we had it on the dyno. He saw a lot of problems with the last tune, and he was fixing them up. The car was not on the dyno for very long. It hadn't even seen any power runs, and the tuner heard some noises coming from the engine. Not good noises, bad noises, unfortunately. He turned it off straight away. I didn't hear anything, but he started to hear a rod knock again. So, for me, it's hard to describe how I was feeling at that stage. I guess it's like, this car for me is kind of my ticket here into Norway and the car scene and everything, It's it keeps me entertained. Life here in Norway is not easy for me, and this car kind of helps me through that, and it's been so much fun working on the car, and it was so good to actually have it back on the road and everything. So when that happened, I was like just distraught, basically. I mean, a lot of people are just like, oh, it's just a car, but for me it's just so much more than that. So yeah, that's what happened. As you can see, it's back into pieces again, back in the garage on jack stands as it was for almost 2 years, not that long ago. So I got a couple of good months out of it, and now this again. This is kind of like version 2 of this car. I went and did so many things to make sure that problem wouldn't happen again, but obviously one tiny detail was missed. And I guess that's the thing with engines, it's kind of like a mathematical equation. If one tiny thing is not working, then you're not going to get that final result. Something's not going to work. And that's what happened with this car. So, unsure of the future of it at the moment. It's not easy to balance this car with, I have a 2-year-old daughter, I have a family, I have a full-time job as well, and it's hard to get the time and the money to do all this again, so I'm not sure what to do. Once again, if I'm going to do things, I'm going to do things properly again. So, engine has to come out. Hopefully the damage is not too bad. What I hope to do is make a lot more blog videos. I wish I did a lot of blog entries of this car, because it would have been really interesting, the build process on it. So I promise to do more videos on that. So yeah, we'll take the engine out. We'll see what the damage is. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully it's just a case of just polishing the crank and new bearings, but we'll see. But I'd like to go further again with the car, so I'm considering maybe respraying it. Doing version 3.0 of the car. I mean, I can almost have this car apart in a day, as I've taken it apart so many times that it wouldn't be a problem. So yeah, so we'll see. So stay tuned. I promise to bring you more videos. I might actually do a video too on Cefiros, just explaining them to people, what they are and how cool and awesome they are, and why you should know more about them. And also don't forget these. Thank you so much to everyone that's been buying these JDM coloring books. 3 different ones available: original, Racing Edition and the Kouki Edition. So many cars in there, like 52, 53 cars in each. So many. You know what's up. But yeah, keep tuned, keep watching, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.